We're live.
We're live?
I mean, there we're live. Now we gotta go here live. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey guys. This angle is not as cute as what we have.
No, it's not.
We're gonna work on this. Okay?
I think so. I know. Why do I feel like? Okay, this is my more body shot. I have to stand up straight. But over here, first of all.
Oh, you guys, I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Hi, Dad. Wait.
Okay. And action. Hey, Syd.
Hey, Dad.
Welcome back.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, if I didn't add chapters, leave a hate comment right now.
Why do you say that?
Because I need to add chapters.
Okay.
I keep saying I'm going to and I don't.
Okay.
But like, it's so annoying to me when people don't add chapters. So.
Do you think a hate comment's necessary though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Maybe
it's the only
our
thing that will motivate me.
So maybe our first topic tonight will be talking about shame. And does that motivate? Whoa, that's a bright light.
Is that good or bad?
Shame good?
No, the light.
Oh, okay. Shame bad.
I love shame. No.
Oh, no, you do not. We'll talk about the origin of shame this evening. Kate, do you see how this camera, the YouTube camera's flickering?
Yeah, I think it's okay though.
Okay.
On YouTube, it looks like we're in like a dark like murder closet. And then on TikTok, it looks like we're in like a recording studio.
That's right.
Start rapping.
I said something to somebody today, and I said something about like OG.
Yes.
Like that's a thing still, right? Do you
Original?
know what I mean? Yeah. OG what? Original. I always thought OG was original gangster.
Old man Tony's back,
okay.
Everyone.
Welcome back. Hey, Syd. Why have we been gone for so long?
We moved.
We did move. Yeah.
And do you know what we got welcomed by, you guys?
What?
A freaking coyote chasing my pregnant sister this morning.
Like, welcome to Arizona, everybody. Right?
Yeah, welcome to the hills.
No, but I do like it. Do you like it here so far?
I do. Other than that, that was crazy.
Other than coyotes chasing your pregnant sister, it's been a pretty good move.
Yeah, it was literally a coyote that was bigger than our like golden retriever dog.
Yeah.
It's like already giant.
Yeah.
So that's how Arizona.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. You know, how's Arizona? It's been amazing. Actually, I did a podcast about. Oh, Kelly, welcome back. I did a podcast about change over on the virtual couch. I highly recommend it because I felt like we all handled it pretty well. Just being and doing. Things were happening. I
didn't. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like,
you really?
There's horses out here. Oh. And I was literally like, I was playing around in the creek where the coyote was that was chasing her yesterday. Just like, as in playing on my phone, like not playing around. Like,
it's like, are you splashing and frolicking in the creek?
Dumb, like being on my phone, being dumb, and like I literally could have gone.
Wait, eaten. Is that old man your dad?
Yes, unfortunately. Just kidding.
How dare you say old? Okay, time to play everybody's favorite game. Sydney, my daughter. How old am I?
57.
No.
4.
Yes, 54. 54 years old. Okay, so why don't you talk a little bit about, you didn't even get here for 2 or 3 weeks. You were gallivanting across the country.
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went to Coachella. It was fun. I saw a naked guy at Coachella, you guys.
Was he?
Completely naked.
And did people
I'm
care?
not going to get a shadow ban today.
I know, right?
I'm careful with my words.
Okay.
It was crazy. It was really fun there, though.
Yeah.
The artists were good.
Who did you like the most?
Oh, don't make me do that right now.
Okay.
I can't decide.
Were you there? You were there multiple days.
Yeah, that's how they go.
I did not know this. And then you were at a different concert or festival a week or 2 before that.
Uh-huh.
What was that one?
I don't even remember, honestly. It was like a EDM thing.
Oh, okay.
It was fun. It was fine.
I do know what that means.
Nah,
Elmo dances mad.
Name your favorite top 5 EDM songs if you really like EDM, Tony.
Marshmallow?
That's not a song.
Oh, okay. The guy with the helmet head. Anyway, tonight, you've got a Reddit story that has to do with one of my favorite topics, narcissism. And then we haven't talked in a while. And I told you there's so many things I just want to talk about around the world of mental health. And let her go. I'm on the phone with the police. That's funny. That's funny.
I literally don't get it. What?
It's like that I've got you captured.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, it does.
That's
this looks
funny.
like a hostage
That's pretty
situation.
Good. Yeah. All right.
We'll have a cuter setup one day.
Okay, all right. But Wendell did say, who is your favorite artist? Period.
I cannot pick one. That's like the craziest question anyone has ever asked. Like I wake up a different person every single day.
Okay, who's it been today? Who's your favorite artist today?
I was listening to a lot of like Sublime today.
Sublime?
That's not my favorite artist.
Okay, that's absolutely back from my day.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So today, if you have questions or if you have questions, make sure and answer them. We'll do the answering.
If you have questions, better figure out the answer.
Exactly. We will.
Oh, yeah, we'll answer questions. Should I be like in charge of that? Because we don't have.
Yeah, our question master, also known as my wife and your mom, will be here soon. Your mom. That always sounds like I'm doing like a joke, right? Your mom answers questions. Actually, we're the ones answering the questions. So maybe I can, while we're kind of getting the audience here, we're getting warmed up, we're getting back. You had mentioned shame earlier, or you said shame, and I made the joke that shame is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a part of me that really wants to, one of the things I've been talking about the last 3 or 4 weeks is about our feelings, our big emotions. Sydney, do you enjoy expressing your big feelings?
I don't really have a choice. It just kind of comes out, you know?
Well, okay, but that's what I think is so fascinating though. So here's what I've been thinking about lately. And I would love anybody, if you have thoughts or questions about this, that I could not wait to get back on just to talk about this, is so much of the work that I do as a therapist, licensed marriage and family therapist, is helping people try to communicate, show up different in relationships, or set healthy boundaries. And so much of that is based off of what we do with our discomfort, because we are wired to avoid discomfort. We don't like to feel uncomfortable. So I gave an example on a podcast about this. So let's just say hypothetically that there's a dad that is he's pretty angry all the time. That's the part where you're supposed to say, oh, okay, no. Okay. I'm noticing that I want to correct you, but if that is how you feel.
Tony's a hippie.
Okay. I only wish I had like long hair and I could like have it in like a ponytail, that sort of thing.
In our minds you do.
So here's here we go. Let's do that right there. I watch this. I can do this right here. How do you get rid of wait, what are you doing?
Oh, Tony's got blocky fingers. Watch out, people. I'm gonna grab the iPad so I can look at the questions.
Okay. So that was kind of fun.
Floor.
All right. That was fun. So
nobody's
all right.
Safe. Tony's gonna block.
That's right. Turn on community flag. How about okay, everybody's gonna okay. All right, I'm pressing all kinds of things here. But I'll tell the origin story while Syd's coming back here. So what I think is really fascinating is, so we're wired to avoid discomfort. We don't like feeling uncomfortable. And so I was given this example of if a dad comes into the house and he's angry because the kids have not kept their rooms clean, they haven't done their chores, they haven't done whatever that looks like. And so then he's angry. So what does he do with his anger is then he expresses it and he diffuses that anger into the family system. So he's mad. How does he get rid of that discomfort? He gets mad, he yells, and then all of a sudden now everybody in the family is angry, or they feel uncomfortable because dad's angry. So what do? Now we clean up our toys, we put things away, we shape up really quick to get rid of our discomfort. Now all of a sudden then the dad feels bad because he yelled. So now how does he get rid of that discomfort? Now he apologizes. He feels better, but then the family is maybe even somewhat traumatized because what they just saw was, okay, dad just lost his crap. Then we all of a sudden, we did what we were supposed to get rid of our discomfort. And then now all of a sudden dad's apologizing. He feels better. And we're sitting here just thinking, okay, I don't even know what just happened. When it's always our fault. Exactly. And that's like the sign of immaturity. So much emotional immaturity is somebody unwilling to take ownership of their own thoughts or feelings or their own actions. So where I was going with that, Sid, is like, so if you start looking at what do we do to get rid of our discomfort, it's like one of those things where you can't unsee it. So if you start from this place of everything is a me issue, and I'm saying that in a nice way, that then if I need my kid to calm down, then why do I need them to calm down? Well, because it bothers me. Is it because I think they should know better? Is it because, that means they have not been listening to me when I tell them to calm down? Versus if I can sit with that discomfort, not try to get rid of it. And then that's where I can start to be more curious. Hey, tell me what's going on. Why are you feeling this way? Or even if that example earlier, if a dad comes home and nobody's done the things that he has hoped that they would do, and then he gets angry. Well, if he stopped and paused because he notices that, okay, this is uncomfortable. I'm angry. That's a me thing. Why am I angry? Oh, because I expect everybody to jump at my beck and call and do whatever I want them to. Versus, how about I start with some curiosity? Hey, everybody, what's happening today? Tell me about your day. And Wendell, I appreciate you saying I'm scared of turning into my dad. And somebody said when we post the next Waking Up to Narcissism episode, missing those, I did one today. So thank you so much. We're back. The move is here, and I talked about the delay there. But Wendell, back to I'm scared of turning into my dad. I think the fact that, okay, you're hoping you turn in. No, I'm just kidding. But the fact that you're aware that you don't want to turn into your dad is one of the biggest signs that you will not be turning into your dad. You are what is starting to become a transformational figure, which is a pretty cool thing. And transformational figures are people that are they're aware. And so often when I talk about what we're doing with our discomfort, we're just reacting. We're reacting to situations. Again, if let's say that I'm going to go back to, we'll play mean dad. So dad walks in there. Thanks, Darren. Dad walks in, and again, he's angry because he now feels frustrated from his work. But then he comes in, he's like, I don't like how I feel. Basically, then he's saying, I need you guys to make me feel better. So why didn't you do all these things before I got home? Because I wanted you to. Now, sometimes you didn't even know that that was the case. Oh, we froze. We've never done that before. Well, there we go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like, I understand, I like understand stopping and noticing your discomfort or whatever. But then how do I like control it? Because I feel like I'm at the place where I notice it. Yeah. And then I'm just like overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know I mean? Yeah, no, for sure. And that's a really good question. You said a couple of really key things there. One is that, how do I control it? And that's the part where the goal of controlling your emotions is you can't. Okay. So there's acceptance there, that I'm accepting the fact that I feel this way. I'm glad you asked it this way, because the big difference is that when you feel big emotions, it really is something that you need to pay attention to, because it's trying to tell you something. But since we're wired to get rid of discomfort, so when we feel emotions, we feel like, man, I don't like that feeling. So that's where it's like, I just want to get rid of them. So
and that's what elevates the discomfort, exactly. Right? Because it's like you're trying to control something you have absolutely no control over. It's just there. So, okay, will you poke holes in? I want to talk about an origin story that I have been working on making up, but I'm like, seriously, I want you to tell me if this makes sense. You can't say poke holes though, because then I want to make your mom joke every time, and I can't keep it in.
And it's literally your mom. Oh wait, my mom. That's your grandma. No, okay, I got you. And we're back. Okay, here's the origin story. So I believe that every kid, when they're growing up, they're just being and doing. They're just being a kid. They're reacting to situations. They're just interacting with the world. That's just what they're doing. And I feel like pretty much every parent, there's even a really good version of a parent, is they feel like their job is to teach their kid right from wrong. Like, you see where I'm going so far? Mm-hmm. So then when a kid is just being a kid, they're typically being met with, oh, hey, calm down, or don't say it that way, or tuck your shirt in, or sit up straight, or don't hit your brother, and the parent's like, no, I need to teach them. But the kid is just literally interacting with the world. Like, kids are just they're just little reactionary creatures. And now I'm going to annoyingly say, are you tracking so far?
Yes, you haven't gotten that far.
Okay, not too far. So then what I think happens is, over time, what a kid starts to feel like is, pretty much when I'm around my parent, everything I do is the wrong thing to do. So because when I say something, I'm told, oh, why'd you say that? Or we don't say those things. Or, hey, don't say it that way. Or then everything I'm doing is, don't do that. Stop doing that. We don't do that. You need to learn to control that. And so then the kid's basically just existence of being a kid starts to feel like, well, it's wrong. So then instead of externalizing my emotions, this is where my origin story kicks in. We internalize our emotions. So now all of a sudden I keep them on the inside, because when I'm externalizing them, I'm continually being told I'm doing it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Okay. So then that's where I feel like, then at that point, now if I'm internalizing my emotions, then it's because I feel like my emotions are bad, or they're wrong. Mm-hmm. So then I must be bad, because that is just how I'm feeling.
And you're immediately teaching your brain as a child that you're supposed to change your emotions.
Exactly. I got to regulate them.
Are wrong.
Yep. Or I got to keep them on check, because I don't want somebody else to be uncomfortable.
But yeah, it's like, you should meet your kid where your kid's at. Because your kid's reality is your kid's reality. They're not manipulating you.
They're just being a kid.
Just speaking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right?
I get that. Yeah.
Okay, so then it gets even better. So now that at that point, then I think we enter into adolescence, and we start to get into relationships, and we're worried we're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. So now we're like, instead of saying, here's the things I like, here's how I feel, we're like, ooh, is this the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say? Or is it okay for me to feel this way? Or I don't want them to feel a certain way.
You're giving yourself anxiety.
You are, literally. Right? But then I feel like so many people are doing that. And so I'm sitting here as a therapist, and I have these adult human beings that are successful, whatever, in my office. And they're saying, man, I don't want to say this the wrong way. Like, I really don't want to do this the wrong way. And then that's where I'm saying, okay, for the time being, how about we suspend the right and wrong part of it? And let's just say, what are you feeling? What are you wanting to do? What do you want to say? because what got me thinking about this was, I really kind of feel like the right and wrong stuff starts to, I mean, if you immediately go to like, oh, so we can like murder people, it's probably not, yeah, right. That's a problem.
But
if
I
that's
know,
the first place you went.
I feel like I know where you're going. It's like, you shouldn't, when a lot of times when we base our rights and wrongs, it's, is this right or wrong for this other person?
Exactly. Yes.
Would they be okay with it? Would these people that I'm close with be okay with it? Which like is okay, you know, like
it's not, it's going to be aware.
Yeah, of course, but like it inevitably, that's not the right word.
That's
of
a good
course
word,
you
though.
should just do what like you feel like you need to do. Is that what you're saying?
I am. And here's, oh, look at that. What could you get in your head? Oh, I had one too. It was like a hurt thing. Because so here's where I'm going with that too, is that, so then if I'm so worried that I'm going to say, oh, the wrong thing, then I'm going to be worrying about what do I say? Because I need somebody else to tell me that that's the right thing to say. And so where I go with this is, if I'm so worried about offending someone else, you know, then I'm basically trying to figure out the right way to say something so that that person will like it. But I don't even know what that person's inner dialogue is, or what, you know.
And then you're living your life, so their life will be better.
Yes.
Right.
And you don't even know if it will.
It's all assumptions.
Yep.
It's like we all just need to do like what we think is best for ourselves.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing creepy
exactly.
stuff, then go to jail.
Okay.
Literally stop it.
Okay. So then here's like this example. Well, it was actually a couple weeks ago, and you drove me to the airport super early, and we watched the documentary about P. Diddy, which was kind of fun to watch together.
Oh yeah, you guys, I'm going through a harder week than you are.
Why is that?
I just figured out that Tupac is dead.
She did.
I didn't even know.
But then it was kind of fun because we were on the way to the airport,
so
and then I just
sad.
say, Syd, stop this documentary we were watching, and then just listen to some Tupac, and you did, and that was it was a tender moment. It was right. But where was I going with that? Oh, so I've been going back to, I've got an office in California, I've got an office in Arizona, so I'm going back to California every other week for a couple of days to see clients there, and I was texting someone when I landed, and I was going to say, hey, I should be there right on time, and I noticed, oh, I never confirmed that I'm actually meeting this person at that time. So then I felt bad because they had said, do you have any time that we can meet when you're in California? And I said, like, oh, I've got this.
Right now I'm outside your house.
It was kind of that way. And so then I just say, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there right on time. And then I realized, and I just said, oh, I am so sorry. I never confirmed the time. And they were sound asleep. They ended up getting back to me later. But here's why I bring this story up, is because then I felt bad. I felt like I did a bad thing versus I just did that thing. I wasn't trying to do the wrong thing. There wasn't a wrong thing. That is just what I did. And I'm taking ownership of it. I forgot to text this person back and confirm. Well, so what was funny is that she then also said, oh, I wouldn't have been able to meet at that time. So it turns out it's okay. Mm-hmm. So I just did a thing. See where I'm going with this? Yeah. And all of a sudden it went from, oh man, I feel bad. I did the wrong thing, to then she was saying, oh no, it was actually a good thing. Mm-hmm. So it was just the thing. And now we're relying on somebody else to make the judgment of, was it good or bad?
Yeah. And like by removing the good or bad, I feel like you can still like acknowledge when you made a choice that you didn't want to make, or when you want to do something different.
Yes.
But it's removing, like you're saying, like the shame and the bad, like it's just removing all the negativity from it that you put on yourself for no reason.
Totally. Yeah. And I think I might've shared this one a while ago, but what I thought was interesting, I had a client that they said that they pulled a prank on a person at a home that they thought was their friend's house, but they were one street over because they weren't familiar with the neighborhood.
How good of friends were they really?
That's a fair question. But what I thought was good about it is like, so the house that they did it at, it was like late. And then unfortunately they had, it was late, and then they had little kids. And so these kids woke up, and the people that the house they were at.
Were they egging them?
No, I don't know really. I don't really know. But those people got really upset. So then the person in my office said, so man, I know I did a bad thing. And then I said, well, did you tell your friend that you meant to pull the prank on about it? And then this person said, I did. And I said, what did they think? And they said it sounded hilarious. So I was like, oh, so if you were one street over, you're awesome, but you did this street, so you're bad. So again, I really feel like that for a lot of things, that right and wrong is a little bit of a hindsight principle.
But what if, like, is he now bad if he was egging the house and then the little kid walks outside and he eggs a little girl in the face? Yes. Okay. He's bad.
What if he was mid-throw and he thought it was just somebody ducking down?
Oh, what if she loves eggs?
So, okay, honestly, if her dream of all dreams was that, you know what, I've never been hit by an egg.
You never know.
That's kind of funny. You never know, right? So that is.
No, I don't know. I don't really get it, but I kind of get it.
said prankster used Apple Maps. That's kind of funny. That's a deep joke there. That's a deep cut.
Is that because Apple Maps is bad?
Well, are you an Apple Maps or Google Maps person? I will ask you, Tyler. Apple Maps or Google Maps?
I know what app I click on my phone, but I literally don't know what one it is.
Oh, okay.
Where's my phone?
Oh, I want to answer. We've got our people to answer questions. I think I saw somebody on the shared doc, or was that you? Because I want to get to some of these too.
Oh, it wasn't.
I like Lily's question. So, all right. So my therapist thinks I'm doing well and asks me if I want to schedule out. Lets me decide when to meet, but I can't help but feel rejected, and I want her to want to see me. This is a great question. Okay. I'm just making sure like I'm not that therapist, right? That's not Lily. Okay. I don't know Lily. Okay. It's like, okay, my bad. No, this is a fascinating one, Lily. So do you understand like where she's going with that? It's really interesting.
The things happening where I read and like it doesn't go in my brain. My therapist thinks I'm doing well and asks me if I want to schedule out. Oh, I didn't see the second part. That's why.
Yeah, but I can't feel rejected. Okay. I want her to want to see me. It's really interesting because, therapists, now let me say the first silly cliche thing, therapists are people too. That sounded kind of silly, but my whole point there is I've had this problem myself as a therapist. And it's funny. I was telling I took a new client today and I was telling them, I said, I know that this is a me thing, but I have this, I don't want someone to think that all I'm doing is wanting their money, And so there's that part of me that I think I go overboard at times. And I have this booking system where people can just schedule their own appointments. And so then I just say, so jump on there, schedule whenever you want. But then I realized that people don't necessarily schedule as regularly. Mm-hmm. And so then over time, they only come in when something is happening. And then you really want more consistency so you can really work with things when somebody's not in crisis. Mm-hmm. So then I've had to do a little self-confrontation and say, okay, that's a me thing. If I need to let the person know, here's what I think would be ideal, but then it is up to you if you can make that schedule.
And I could see myself, if I were going to therapy, I could see myself being like, oh, well, I don't want to bother him. Totally. Am I going too much,
Yeah.
So, and again, that's just everyone making assumptions about everyone else.
It really is. It is. And so, but I like, this is part of that thing that we were talking about earlier is it's a me issue. I mean, it makes me feel uncomfortable that I don't want them. See, man, I mean, when you talk through it this way.
It's like a spaghetti of like, it's dumb. It's like we're creating this mess for ourselves.
It is. I don't want them to think that I'm simply in this for the money, but of course that's how I make my living. But I actually love what I do. So then,
girl, no one even thinks that much.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So now I have said, okay, here's what because especially I do a lot of couples work, and I will say there, I need to see each one of you individually, and then I'll see you as a couple, and we'll kind of go from there. And sometimes people will say, well, we were just thinking that we would get in there together at first, and that's where I have to confidently say, oh, that's actually not the way that I do couples therapy. Truthfully, side note, because if that's what they want to do, they just want to come in and have a referee and they want to both tell me how bad the other person is. And then I will then rule, which is not the way it works.
You got to get the dirt on both of them separately when they're not talking to each other.
I don't call it dirt. I call it the data or the information.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. My therapist never really given me direct advice or told me I have specific issues or problems. This is really
perfect.
See, that's nice. That's a good diagnosis. This is a really wait, and I want to see where Betsy here, read that one before it goes away too. So okay, but my therapist never gave me direct advice. So here's the funny part is that I know we talked about this before, therapist versus life coach. So a therapist's job really is to have the training, to have the understanding, the ability to then meet you where you're at, hear where you're at, and then help guide you toward where you would like to go, and then deal with the issues that come up along the way. Because if somebody just tells you, here's what I think you should do, you're kind of like handing them your power, like, oh, okay, I'll go do that. And then if it doesn't work, then they get to say, man, the therapist said, like, I thought they knew what they were talking about. So I will have people often say, I just wish you could tell me what to do. And I'm like, I can, but that's a me thing. I mean, I can tell you what a 54-year-old balding male thinks that you should do with your life based on my experience. And what were you gonna say?
That you can tell them what you would do.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, therapists are amazing, experts, whatever, but only you know what.
I've never felt so heard.
Only you know what you should do at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, but I do like the concept though of that. I do think that sometimes people will say, okay, is that, they'll say, what would you do in this situation? I actually just talked about this on the Waking Up the Narcissism podcast I released today. is that I'll say, okay, well, let's do this. And I might say, I think you need to be a little more patient in your relationship. And they'll immediately, most of the time, meet me with a, well, yeah, but you don't understand though. When she starts, calling me this or this. So then I'm like, well, there you go then. So you really don't want to hear what I have to say.
You want me to tell you what to do until it's not what you want to do.
Yeah. You want my validation is what you want. You want me to tell you. Matter of fact, Syd, can I pull up a transcript and quote my very self?
No. Don't do this.
No, but this is funny. Okay, I thought this is. Oh, sorry. Oh,
see, okay. It was funny.
It was funny.
Snort.
Here's okay. This is pretty egotistical though. When then I'm gonna quote myself here. Okay, here we go. This is literally it. This is from the transcript. Okay, so good question. So then I said because I'm okay. The truth is, we're not typically good with our feelings if they aren't readily accepted by or agreed with or validated by others. And if you're thinking to yourself, no, not me, I want the truth. I want you to just be blunt with me. And I did make a movie, A Few Good Men reference where you can't handle the truth, but I won't do the imitation.
Never heard of it.
Next topic. Okay. So I said, okay, I just want to bring gentle awareness. Do we really want bluntness or do we really want validation? And it's almost like I was saying, we almost aggressively want validation because here's what I say, because on occasion, and it takes a lot for me to do this, but somebody will say, don't sugarcoat it. What would you honestly do if you were me? Because you've seen thousands of people. Be honest. Tell me what works in these situations and what doesn't. And so sometimes I will say, okay, if you insist, what I think you should do is learn to be more calm during the storm that is your relationship. And immediately I'm met with, well, yeah, but she starts it and you don't understand. And I was like, there you go. You actually wanted me to say, this is why I'm reading this, by the way, because I thought I was hilarious at the time. It was all improv, Syd. But I said, okay, here it comes then. I think you actually need to be ruder in your relationship. She needs to be doing more of what you say. And let me just add, despite you having only attended therapy now, maybe 1 or 2 times, because of the things that you've told me about her behavior, I'm seriously thinking about changing up my entire approach that, mind you, is now based on almost 20 years, thousands of people, tens of thousands of hours, numerous books, podcasts, lectures, trainings, reps in the chair. But you, sir, are special.
Right? And then he kissed you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what was Betsy's question?
Oh, I don't know. My iPad is dead. I'm trying so hard, you guys.
Oh, you got okay. Betsy, I'm gonna scroll down.
It says it's gonna watch. It's literally lying.
Okay, wait. I wanted to answer Betsy's question.
Watch it lie.
Watch it lie.
Did I break it? I don't even remember.
Oh, it might take a second. Oh, you got I love Syd.
I love you.
That's you. Okay. Lies.
Oh,
here it is. Here it is. Okay.
Liars. You see that?
Okay.
What's going on?
Is it warped if we feel validated if the therapist wants to see us? No, it is not warped. As a matter of fact, I think that speaks to a bigger message of we like to be heard and seen and understood. And the Apple iPad is updating Apple Maps. Tyler is on one. We'll find out secretly that he works for Apple.
Baby right now.
But so Betsy, what I think is interesting, and I like your question. Is it doing anything?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, but here's the part that is fascinating about being a therapist and about talk therapy is that we really do all want to be heard and seen and understood. Even if you're saying, no, I don't. Well, you do. Yeah, you do. That's what I say in therapy. But the problem is, even when we do feel pretty safe and expressing ourselves in a relationship, what will often be met with is like, oh man, really? That's like what you did? Or well, why didn't you do this? Or I would have done this. And so it goes back to that. We feel like, well, apparently I'm doing my own life wrong. And so one of the benefits of talk therapy in the long run is that you have somebody, and yes, they are getting paid. It is their job. But if they're good at what they do, they I care. I mean, that it's so amazing to do this job where you get to say, tell me about that. Like, what was that like? Then what did you do? And how long have you felt that way? And what, take me on your train of thought to make that decision. And so what we start doing is unloading sometimes even scary stuff with somebody that is smiling. They're engaged, they're empathetic, they're curious. And so then it starts to not be as scary in our head. And so then if you're like saying, okay, all right, I get that. I do have a lot going around in my head. But I've got a good friend. I'm going to go tell them. And I start telling you and you're like, oh boy. Or if you all of a sudden start looking at your phone, and you're like, oh, what was that? That doesn't sound like a big deal. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, I'm not very, I'm not very interesting.
Yeah. And you might associate like those feelings with the situation when it's like, those don't correlate at all. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. Being a therapist seems fun. Like you just get to sit in a room with someone and they tell you all their deepest, darkest secrets?
I love it, but then there's also a lot of things that you do. You hear a lot of stuff though, a lot of heavy things that can be kind of interesting too.
I bet. I mean, the heaviest things. Like you hear the worst things.
Yeah, for real. And okay, Skinner, American Goods.
Someone just said something really weird. Sorry.
Oh, you want me to like that one?
I mean, engagement. I really don't care, honestly.
So Skinner, I like this one. Says, what do you say to people who think that the rise of therapy indicates weak or soft people in society? I think that's a great question. And I think that that's the people that are almost afraid of going to therapy and being open and vulnerable that then have to say, well, it's because those people are soft. I'm tough. Like, I don't need therapy. You know, says the person who is like saying, I think that therapy is only for the weak. Does that make sense? Those
people have no idea and that's what they're even saying.
That's why I say I think it really fits along the I don't know what I don't know. And so then if it's unknown and it's foreign and I've never done it, then the immature response is to then go ahead and just say, yeah, it's dumb. That's like it wouldn't help me anyway. Yeah.
That's like your house being on literal fire and you're like, oh, I can live in this fire. Like I'm fine. I'm
and somebody's
man.
Like,
I love these flames.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can fix the house.
Yeah, like weak people are getting the fire department over here.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
It's like it's a work smarter, not harder thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's smart.
Well, and I think one of the things that's interesting is this. I want this to just sink in to anybody listening that I don't know what I don't know. I mean, it's that simple. And it's one of the best things that you can do is to then admit that there are things I don't know. So then I can be curious about them and it doesn't mean I have to then say, okay, well, I guess I'm, since you know that, then I don't know anything. We get in that all or nothing, black or white mentality so often that then we just think if somebody else has another opinion or they're good at something, then that must mean I'm bad. Or they must think they're better than me. And that's immaturity.
It's so immature. It's like, that is literally the whole point of life. It's like, we can all dedicate ourselves to something different. And then you can share your experiences and learn so much more, you know?
Yes.
Like when you keep it to like this confined, like idea of you have to be the best and know the best.
Yes.
You're just cutting your life off so short. It's like boring for you. Like you're boring.
You're boring.
You know?
I have to tell you a funny story. My good friend Preston, he's a guy that helps me put together courses, and I'm updating my marriage course. And then we were talking about a situation, and I got big feelings, and it was, and so then he says, "Let me send you this feelings wheel." And I was like,
"Oh, I know about your feelings wheel."
Well, but I was funny.
Gosh, she's gonna pull out his feelings.
I am.
Wheel.
This is a good one though, Syd. But what was really funny about this feelings wheel is that I have not seen this one, and I seriously. But here's why I'm saying this.
No, I actually do like this.
Okay, but this is a
like
new
made
one.
Something click for me.
Okay, this is a new one. And what I thought was so good about it was he said, he said, no, I want you to sit with this. And he said, you're always saying you don't know what you don't know. And he's like, I don't think you know what I'm going to do with this.
Oh, it's the emotion wheel.
Oh, emotion wheel. And then I even said, I was like, no, I really do think I know what this is. And then I'll save duplicate. Okay. But let me pull this up here because I think it's so good. Now I'm happy clicking. Now here's where I feel like a 80-year-old man.
You are an 80-year-old.
Okay,
man.
Photos. There we go. Okay, watch. Ready? That's probably the wrong way. Am I getting? Wait, is this still?
Why do you take so many selfies?
Okay, that's funny. I do not. And I am going the wrong way. You rattled me. I take no selfies. None.
Oh, okay. Mirror pictures.
Okay.
Weird.
Okay.
There's more.
Okay, why does that make me laugh so much?
For the course of years.
Okay, where's the emotions wheel? It says it's in my photos. Okay, this is not good content right here. Dang it.
I'll do a flip.
Okay. Can you do one?
No.
It says synced and it says it's in here. Okay, but let me just tell you, you can't see it over here.
Why don't you just click on it?
I did. Like I happy clicked it. Look at that. And it's not doing anything.
Oh, wait. You want to try to send it to me?
Yes. Let's do that. Okay.
And then I can open it up, not on my iPad because my iPad's freaking broken.
That's right. Okay, Sydney, I'm sending you the feelings. You're going to like this one. I'll tell you why. There we go. Okay, this emotion wheel. Here's what I like about this emotion wheel so much. Right in the middle of it. Oh, there we go. Can I do this? Okay, right in the middle of it, it says, is this a comfortable emotion or an uncomfortable emotion? And if I am going to be really open and deep here, I was feeling a little bit sad. So then he said, okay, sad. Then were you feeling disappointed, hurt, or lonely? And the subject that we were talking about, I said, I'm feeling a little bit lonely. So then I said, okay, that was cool. Let's move on. And he's like, oh no, and you're trying to get rid of your discomfort. It's the very thing that I try to help people know. Sit with those feelings, sit with that discomfort. And so what was really interesting is then I was like, okay, so then I there it was. And then I knew where he was going next, and I had to do it, where he said, okay, where do you feel it? Because I don't know, where do you feel anxiety or where do you feel stress?
Like right here.
Same, I do too. And I've done this with a lot of clients, and they do talk about that they feel like it in their head, or they feel it in the back of their neck or their lower back.
In my heart exploding.
Okay, so mine feels like it's constricting. Does yours feel like yours was exploding?
Yeah, I feel like I'm dying.
Okay, and so what was interesting is then he literally then said, okay, you know, and I said, yeah, it's there. It's what size is it? How big is it? What's it doing right now? And then he's like, okay, let's take some big breaths. And so we breathed into the feeling, and then we kind of just got back to talking about things. So I thought it was the perfect example of, I thought I knew, but I did not know what I did not know. I bust out this emotion wheel. I sat with that discomfort. I wanted to I told him several times, I'm good. Like, we got stuff to do, but that was my way to try to get out of the feeling. Mm-hmm. And so then all of a sudden I realized, I did it. Like, I didn't get rid of the feeling. You know, I felt it. And then we were able to then move on. And then I was able to even kind of do a little bit of a, hey, thank you, body, for showing me that feeling of sadness and that feeling of loneliness, because I go back to the story we were talking about earlier. When we're kids, we're not allowed to express our emotions. We're not allowed to feel our feelings. And so when we don't have practice doing that, it makes sense that we're going to get rid of uncomfortable feelings or emotions. Like, even if like if somebody wants to come give you a hug and it feels uncomfortable, that's like, why, you know, that's a me thing. Why do I feel uncomfortable receiving this hug? You know, what's that like? Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I don't like.
I know, that's why I'm going with that, because last night I hugged you. I was like, Syd, thanks for being in Arizona with me.
The second someone hugs me, I'm like, oh, like,
so why? What is that?
I have no idea.
Okay, hang on. Wait, get your phone out. Get your phone out. Is it okay?
The feelings wheel?
Yeah, see, you're making fun of it. Trying to get rid of your emotions. Sydney, as your father.
Okay, wait, what am I doing?
So when you feel like this, I'm already giving away the first
Scared?
one. Okay, well, okay. So is it uncomfortable or comfortable when someone wants to hug you?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, does it make you feel sad, scared, angry, or that other word?
All of the above.
Embroidered. Embarrassed. Which one? It's a dry hug in Arizona. It is a little bit. It's a dry hug.
I don't know.
Well, okay. See, but you saying I don't know is your way to get out of your discomfort. And this is like deep, right? Because if I'm like, okay, then I just
maybe embarrassed. Okay. Maybe.
Okay. So embarrassed.
Like if I really try, because I'm not scared of you.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay. So then embarrassed.
I could do damage if I needed to.
Oh, I pulled my neck muscle.
See, this man has already taken himself down and he's not even moving.
Okay, so then I appreciate this. It's an uncomfortable emotion and you feel a little bit embarrassed, and then the emotions around that are ashamed, excluded, or guilty.
Oh wait, I wasn't listening. What? What was it?
Should we talk about ADHD?
What? I do not. Don't.
Okay. Embarrassed. Did you feel ashamed, excluded, or guilty?
Ashamed, excluded, or guilty? Maybe guilty. Guilty is like one that I like constantly felt guilty growing up because we were Mormon.
I say, are we ready to talk about this? When I talked about this one night, you were like, I don't know. Right?
Well, I feel like I already have said this before. I don't know. But we were Mormon. So it was like, I'm in my head, if I had like a bad thought, I was going to hell.
Yeah.
So I just continued to have them. You know?
Yeah.
Over and over again, and then that would make me feel super guilty.
Okay, and when we go back to what we were saying earlier, they were just thoughts.
Yeah.
But then you were feeling like these are bad.
I was associating them with me. Like I was like, I was thinking that the thoughts were like part of me, and it's like no, they were just intrusive thoughts.
Exactly, because everybody has them.
Yeah, and now
but you don't know that at the time, right?
No, yeah, it's like at the time, it's like it's so real. It's like, oh, am I literally like, do I belong in a jail cell? Like, am I insane?
Right.
And then that, I feel like going down that spiral of anxiety would make the thoughts even worse. Because my brain would just be like, what can I do to really F this up right now?
Okay, and why do you think that is? Like, what was that?
I don't know. Okay. But now I like my intrusive thoughts. They're funny.
They are funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best ways that, and that's okay. So let's go back to this emotion wheel. And I think what's interesting is you got those primary, secondary emotions. And so you and I both go to humor pretty quick. Mm-hmm. But I know my humor originally started with feelings of embarrassment or feeling not enough or guilt or that sort of thing.
Oh, and you
cover it up with the humor.
Okay, so then it's like this feeling doesn't exist because
I'm making fun of it. And I'm making jokes. And anybody who's joining us, so I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've got about 600 or 700 episodes of podcasts. Please go check them out. And I will interview guests. And I've had a couple of times where it's been a really vulnerable interview, and I will crack a joke. And I'm trying so hard to not do that now,
Oh, I don't know how. The second that when Alex came home and was talking about how she got chased by a coyote, I'm immediately making jokes, and I'm like,
and this is Sydney's
it's an intimate time.
8-month pregnant sister with my first grandchild. The reason we moved to Arizona, and then she gets chased and attacked by a wild coyote today. It's as big as the house, apparently,
Literally.
Right? And then you're like, what was your?
I can't even think of anything right now, but it was just not the moment nor the time.
Yeah.
And so I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
But it also is honestly a great thing, because then there will be a really sad moment, and then everyone's just giggling. It's fine. I don't see a problem.
Well, and I have a little bit of a theory about that if you've been going to your secondary emotion long enough, then I think over time it becomes your primary emotion. Because I feel like my go-to is
that just
nothing but
the
jokes.
Joker? Then someone dies and you're like, oh,
kind of. I mean, I'm aware that they are, those are for my inside voice. Today I was actually working with and I'll announce this in the not too distant future, but I'm working with somebody on a course and a podcast series on scrupulosity, which is
I think I had that.
Yeah, so scrupulosity. Yeah, so let's talk about that. So scrupulosity, it's also known as religious OCD, and it's a form of OCD where somebody experiences intrusive thoughts that are centered around religious or moral fears. And so people with scrupulosity are continually worried about living up to their religious beliefs or their moral standards. And then it basically turns into they call it the doubting disease, or it's filled with a lot of confession.
Oh, dude, that's totally making sense for me right now. I always thought, I think that's what I had.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
My OCD, it wasn't. I always thought OCD was all of this will happen and your family will die.
Yeah.
But mine was, if I don't do this, then I'll go to hell. That's what my train of thought was. Sorry, keep going.
Oh no, you said this is that
was interesting for me.
I mean, I feel like I learned about scrupulosity to try to help you.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, well, because what's interesting is so then it's basically then people there. So again, an obsession occurs and causes anxiety, and then there's a compulsion to get rid of the anxiety. So the obsession might be on living up to religious beliefs, moral standards. I'm going to do the wrong thing, or I'm going to, be cast into the Hades and the eternal fires of, all that stuff. So that causes a tremendous amount of anxiety, because we're talking about, if you grow up believing that is my eternal torment, then the compulsion to get rid of that obsession is to confess. I need somebody to tell me I'm okay. Or it's repetitive prayer. It's wanting.
What mine was? It was this is after a while of feeling so guilty all the time. For some reason, I just convinced myself that if I was going down those this when I was really little, 10.
Yeah.
It's not bad. You look like you're.
I'm oh no.
I'll give you a hug. It was just weird. No, it was just weird. Okay. I would convince myself that if I went 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I was forgiven. Isn't that the weird? And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm that does kind of sound like OCD, because it was the weirdest thing ever. Thinking of it now, it's I was literally counting down from 10 and what God was coming down and being you're fine.
You're good. But if you stopped at 2 though, you're out of luck.
Exactly. But in my head, it was okay, if I do this, then it was so weird.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that though, because that makes sense. And I think people will identify with that. And I will tell you, I mean, I don't feel like I've ever had OCD or necessarily scrupulosity, but I would find that at times, and I've been a therapist for almost 20 years. I remember at the beginning, every now and again, if I had a couple that was in my office and it was a really difficult couple, I'd do a little internal prayer, and I would say, please, 3 times. Do you know this? Mm-hmm. Please help me. Then I'm oh, and then it worked, But then, but it was funny, because then over time, learning to realize, oh, I actually have the tools or the skills. And that was, I have to have that confidence to move forward.
It's you're creating a fake habit in your brain, almost to release those good feelings.
Yeah.
But in the reality is you have control over those all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, if you can just notice these are thoughts, well, I mean, I think the therapist in me overthinks the word control. because if I'm trying to control something, then I'm making it more of an issue. So, and this is that concept of acceptance doesn't mean, you know, apathy, or it doesn't mean that, I guess it just is going to be that way. So I like to give the example of anxiety. If I'm worried about having anxiety, then I will avoid all things that might cause me anxiety, which is actually going to cause me to have anxiety.
Yeah, right? That one hit.
Yeah. Okay. But if I accept the fact that, oh, I have anxiety, then I'm going to go and I'm going to be and do and explore the world. And oh yeah, and sometimes there it is. There's my anxiety, because I'm also going to notice my joy, my happiness, my connection. Oh, my anxiety again. And I had a client a while ago when we were talking about this, and they were afraid to go visit their fiance's hometown it was like a couple of years ago, winter break. And she said, I'm worried I'm going to say something stupid. And I just said, oh, you will. Like, right? No, you got to, if you accept the fact you will, then you're also going to go see where he grew up. You're going to meet his parents. You're going to see the streets he rode. You know, it was a coastal town, and she wanted to try like hush puppies and different seafoods. And I was like, you get to do all that, and you'll probably say something dumb. And she texted me a couple days into the trip, and she's like, did it, said something really silly. But she's like, but man, you know, the fish is great.
Yeah. And the reality is, like, you'll also say something funny, and you'll also say something nice, and you'll also connect with someone, and you'll also see something cool, but like your brain just wants to focus on the negative.
Absolutely. You know? Yes. Yeah. And that goes back to, that's a survival skill, because our brain's wired to think, if we just think everything's great all the time, then we are not going to pay attention to the coyote chasing us in the wash behind our house. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, things are going too well. I gotta be worried, which is wild. So this scrupulosity thing, this is why, and I'm, you know, if people, I'm not trying to say that someone shouldn't be religious if that is very important to them, but I do say sometimes that I think the concept of confession can be really interesting, because if somebody is saying, I've done something I think is bad, and I'm going to go confess it, and now the person they're confessing to says you're good, then it relieves their anxiety. And then they're just going and doing. And so then if they really aren't doing the work on whatever it is that they're trying to maybe get better at, then it's like, well, no, I don't need to do that, because I'm good now. Yeah. And so until the next time, because I work with a lot of people that struggle with addiction, turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms. And
who would do that? Gross.
So then in those scenarios, and I got this, a good one. Nicole asked a panic attack advice on how to help them. Let's get to that one.
Right before this, girl.
Did you really?
Yes. Okay. So now that we're doing this like at our house, I physically can't be late. Right? Isn't that great? It was the first time I was ever early. I was an hour early. So what do I do? I have a panic attack, because what else am I going to do?
Okay. Because for those who are new here, it was really interesting, because Syd TikTok likes you to be on time, and we like TikTok. And so then we would say the time, and then I'd be texting, hey, are you almost here? and you would be on time sometimes, right?
I think there was a time.
No, so
there was definitely a time there.
Okay, but let's talk about panic attacks, though. So Beth, thanks for the roast. So panic attacks. The question was like advice for them. Let me just kind of, and will you what's the thing I can't say, poke holes in this? Will you challenge these things? Because I want to know if this is just me going all therapy person on this. But so one of the challenges is that when people, they aren't aware that they're having a panic attack until they're in the midst of the panic attack.
Yeah, that's so true. Because like I'll find myself just like worrying about the most ridiculous thing ever, and it's so serious and it's so real. And then like 5 minutes into that, I'll be like, oh, my heart's actually beating out of my chest, and this doesn't matter. Wait, this doesn't matter.
Okay.
But then I'll still feel like that for like 30 more minutes.
Well, can you think of what the one was tonight that you had?
About this, doing these just gives me weird anxiety, like being perceived by people. Like if I think about it too hard, it really grosses me out, you know?
Okay.
And right now I'm like, my ear looks really big. I keep thinking that. Unrelated.
Okay, look at these things. There was a time where we were at a state fair, and
ADHD.
Okay, but this is funny to me. So we're at a state fair, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm confident, I'm whatever. And it was a guy that was at a dunk tank, and so you throw those, right? And so then he's up there, and so he's gonna insult you because he wants you to like. Actually, it kind of fits into the panic attack thing. He wants you to get so enraged that you can't calm yourself down and like throw an accurate pitch. So then what does he say to me? He's like, oh my gosh. He said, look at the ears on that guy. And he said, they look like the things you put on the end of a corn on the cob.
Oh my gosh.
And
so you gave me these honkers?
I did. But you get to cover them up with hair. I've never literally.
No, I feel like your hair's growing back.
Well, it's because I haven't shaved today. Yeah, I need to though. Okay, but the
could happen.
But the panic attack. So what's the challenge is that typically when you recognize you're having a panic attack, it's because you're in the middle of a panic attack. And as we've mentioned in the past, if you know the physiology behind what's happening, is that you're thinking, ruminating, worrying, overthinking, and your heart rate starts to elevate and beat faster. And the faster it beats, the more it releases the stress hormone cortisol, and you've got adrenaline pumping through your veins. And so if you go watch a functional brain scan at this time, when you're having a panic attack, your prefrontal cortex, where the frontal lobe, where you've got your rational brain, you're able to make sense of things and logic and reasoning, that in those things, it's shutting down, and your amygdala, your fight or flight response, is firing up because your heart rate's elevating. So your brain is saying, well, if your heart rate's elevating, we must be about to fight, or we got to run, or we got to do something.
You're in like life or death.
Life or death. Yeah. So then that's typically when someone notices they're having a panic attack. And guess what? That's going to cause somebody to panic, right? Because all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I'm having a panic attack. So in that scenario, the best thing to do is to be able to just, be able to, first of all, walk outside. What did you do tonight? You can get fresh air.
Really just I was hardcore just trying to ignore it so hard.
And just do things?
And distract myself.
Okay, I'll take that too.
So this works for some people, right? Breathing exercises.
Yes.
But for some reason, a lot of times for me, it just really doesn't help. For me, it helps if I keep distracting myself, keep moving around, and breathe. Do the breathing exercises, but I can't sit still and do the breathing exercises because then I'll feel my heart pounding. And me sitting still and feeling my heart pounding stresses me out a lot. But what I found that's been helping me is going outside and then also exercising, or if you can, doing yoga or doing something to get your heart rate up, because then it makes it feel more comfortable. I that your heart rate is already up. You know what I mean?
It's almost like you're taking charge of the fact that your heart rate is elevated.
Because when I'm sitting down trying to do breathing exercises, I'm like, why is my heart beating so fast? I'm sitting. But when I'm outside and I'm getting my mind off of it and I'm moving, and it's normal for my heart to feel like that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm taking control over it again. Kind of. I don't know.
No, I like that. I said that makes a lot of sense. That really does. I like Devin said, lay down, breathe, wet wash rag on the face. That would work well.
I should do. I don't know why I don't do that. I totally should splash water in my face when that's happening.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be good.
Yeah. And then okay, so my clients get more anxious if they exercise because their heart races. I've heard that as well. And but I know what you're saying.
It's different.
It is, but it makes sense because it
does work for me.
And I think it would help me as well, because I feel more familiar when I'm exercising, or that's a comfortable place for me. So I think what I'm hearing, what might be good is that then your heart rate is elevated, so you're now almost I will show you a good way to have that heart rate elevated.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a good way for me to
ice bag on the neck,
myself.
That's
but
good.
I see how it could make it worse for some people. Totally.
Yeah. And then somebody asked what the definition is, and it's I did go to Dr. Google here. Panic attack is a brief episode of intense anxiety which causes the physical sensations of fear. These can include a racing heartbeat, shortness of breath, dizziness, trembling, and muscle tension. And I will say, because we've talked a little bit about there were some concepts around mindfulness meditation. I know we talked about that a lot on some of the lives, but that's one where I like to think I'm funny when somebody says, what do I do when that is happening? And it's, you just get through it, but then it's, what do you do after the panic attack has subsided? Because when somebody then feels relief, then they feel like, okay, I'm glad that's over. But in reality, that's the time to start a meditation practice, a yoga practice. That's the time to start, I like to say, breaking down the game film and seeing what were the triggers maybe leading up to that. Like tonight, you were a little bit nervous, it sounds like, to come back and do lives because we haven't done it for a little while. So then it would be, okay, what would you do next time to help put you in a better headspace for a live?
I don't think there's even anything different that I could have done or will do.
Okay.
I don't know. I honestly don't. I just feel like it's I'm very aware that I kind of always get anxiety before these, but I'm also what's been helping me a lot recently is I feel like I'm finally also in the same breath very aware that my anxiety is not a real or valid feeling.
Okay. Okay.
You know, it is a real
It is a real feeling.
but it's not valid at all. It doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
And like, that's helping me a lot. It's like, I don't believe that when I'm having a panic attack. No, I don't believe that. Obviously, I don't believe that. I think I'm dying.
Yeah.
But there's like a strand, like a tiny like noodle in me now that like understands that it's not actually as serious as my brain is making it feel. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I like when you're saying there's a strand or a little noodle that says that.
Yeah, I don't like that I said that.
I do.
I take that back.
Well, how come? Why?
It sounded strange.
But what I think it goes back to that when we don't know what we don't know, and then we finally have a little bit of awareness. It is it's a start to then being more aware, and then I can notice what's going on more. Because I think it will go back to, I think tonight's theme has been, what do we do to get rid of our discomfort? And if somebody feels anxious and that makes them uncomfortable, then they just want to, once they're done with it, they want to just, I don't ever want that again. I'm done with that. And then that makes me feel better. I will not do that again. But instead it needs to be, oh, check that out. That was a thing. And now what can I do to prepare for it, or to get tools in case it happens?
And I like what you said, like try to meditate after, because meditating will like help you when it inevitably does happen again. It will help you feel better, I feel like. And a lot of times for me, like right when I get out of a panic attack, I'll have like a 5-minute cool, and then I'm like, oh no, when's the next one gonna happen? And then I'm feeling myself get anxious. Did you just fart?
Oh no, that's the chair. Wait, how did it again? Wait, it really was the chair.
You have to prove it.
Okay, now what if I like really do one? I'm like, oh, this is the chair. No, I was gonna say we're done. We're done tonight. No, look at this. We're all done.
What do you mean?
This guy says therapy never works. I had 20 years of a career. I'm done. I didn't know that.
Who cares?
Dang it.
Oh man, pack it up.
It was a good run. I mean, 20 years. I don't know what. I think it's been 15,
I think
16
you're just trying to
couples.
distract from the fact that you just farted.
I did not fart.
I heard it.
That's the chair. I feel like I would admit it. I don't know if I would admit it on air.
What? Oh, sorry, I was reading that. Oh, you're talking about your farts. The people need therapy, Tony. What were we just talking about?
Did we move? Yes, we did. Smell the Delta, Jake. Oh, that means she did.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're gaslighting me right now.
And yes, I am. Oh, there it is.
Bro, you are disgusting.
Okay.
Chill.
Okay, we have our notes open. And so there we go. There.
I feel like
the first one. So now we have my beloved wife and your mom, who's gonna get to your questions, because I know we haven't been answering we've been answering questions as they come through. And so we're gonna get a list of questions going, and we'll probably you want to go another 30 minutes or so? The hour went fast, Syd. But the first one, did you see what it is? There are so many beautiful girls on TikTok, but I swear she is the tops.
That's so nice of them to say about you.
Okay. Somebody called me Moby. I'll take that one. That one works.
Who's Moby?
Moby's a DJ, I think. Moby, actually, talk about meditation. Here's what I love, when somebody wanted to be like, oh, call him Moby and that'll get him. But Moby has, if you go look on Moby on YouTube, MOBY has some of the best meditation tracks, especially for sleep. And one of my favorite, I know this is Moby LA7, is an amazing track that's about 30 minutes long that you can meditate like crazy to. So I'm glad that the person brought that up. I like
this guy with a bunch of bowls.
Oh, that stuff's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes for like 8 hours at a time. I'm like, wow, that's a fun job. You're just sitting there with your bowls.
Okay, let me, and the first question that came through is, what are your thoughts on beta blockers for panic attacks? And this is where I want to, do you know?
No. I want to try those, honestly.
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna lean into, I do not know what I do not know, and I don't know enough about that. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, not a psychiatrist, so I don't prescribe medication, and so I'm not familiar enough with beta blockers. Yeah,
I've heard that they just like make you not feel stressed or something, right? I don't know.
I
heard Whitney Cummings say that she does them before like interviews or something, and it makes her not like feel nervous. Okay. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Beta blockers work.
Before. Didn't I say it was like something with your heart rate?
Yeah.
These are
stop, yes. It's the opposite of a central nervous system stimulant. It says they work to dampen down the body's fight or flight responses. Often people think of anxiety or panic attack. It's accompanied by a racing heart, sweating, or shaking. Beta blockers can work by lessening these symptoms.
So could you take that with, say, like an ADHD pill? Could you take those together if you're like having anxiety from the ADHD?
Okay, so
would that balance it?
Well, what's interesting about that is that plays in. So this is our field right here, ADHD. So that one I do know. There's if we kind of start going down this path, I could just talk about this all night. But if somebody has ADHD like symptoms, but they really don't have that dopamine deficiency. There's a thing called VAST, variable attention stimulus trait, that is basically why.
So if you have TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so then if somebody's taking a stimulant and they don't have ADHD, then it's going to actually it can amp up their anxiety. So this is a part, again, I'm not a psychiatrist, so my understanding a little bit is that if somebody's taking the ADHD medication and it causes anxiety, then it might be more of this variable attention stimulus trait. And so then if you then we're going to take a beta blocker to kind of slow down the anxiety from the ADHD medication, I wonder if it's not ADHD.
But what about me, who has ADHD and has experienced anxiety on it?
Yeah.
Do I just have anxiety though? Is that what you're saying?
I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I feel like what you're saying maybe, because I've definitely like experienced.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
I don't know, and I know we all know I have ADHD.
Oh boy, howdy.
But maybe I just also have anxiety.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So this is what's kind of fun for me is that as a therapist, Syd, I didn't know if you knew I was one.
No, you're not.
Acceptance and commitment therapy. So it is one of the most evidence-based models to work with anxiety and depression both, because one of the main things about it is it teaches you to have a different relationship with your thoughts. So if those thoughts are the things that are causing you to have anxiety, then there is a component of acceptance and commitment therapy that is being able to step back and notice that I'm having this thought. And then you turn to a value-based goal or activity. So then once you really clearly identify your values, so if you have a value of curiosity, then when you notice that you're starting to get anxiety, then that is a thought. You notice it, you make room for it. You don't try to get rid of it. It's that thing about changing, sit back and watch the cars pass on the freeway, that vibe. So we get up there and we try to stop traffic, that your anxiety is the traffic. So when you notice you are trying to do that, you step back on the side of the road, watching the cars go by. And then in acceptance and commitment therapy, then you take that opportunity to turn to something that matters to you and do it. So then it's like, instead of overthinking and ruminating, you're noticing and doing. And so then I feel like that does help alleviate anxiety. So then that wouldn't really have anything necessarily to do with like the ADHD part of that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Two separate things.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Why does she look like Olivia Rodrigo? I did a double take. Can you answer that question?
Thanks. I don't know. Can you answer that question?
I cannot.
Do you have something to say?
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts on death anxiety? I'm constantly afraid of passing away. It's gotten so severe. That's a great question. Do you have thoughts?
I don't know. It doesn't really like freak me out. And I don't want to say that because it sounds like it should be like, oh, like it doesn't, like, too bad for you. It doesn't freak me out. Like, that's not what I mean at all. But it's never really bothered me.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I just like I don't feel like everything is as serious as we think it is. And I don't think everything is as drastic. I don't know. I kind of feel like when we die, it's going to be a thing where we just kind of like are like, oh, here we are to the next. Like, I think it's going to be not as like scary as everyone makes it seem.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just kind of like a feeling I have. So I can't really relate to people who feel like so scared. And that anxiety. So I don't know, what would you tell someone?
Well, I like where you're going with that. So, and I think it goes back to when we were talking earlier about acceptance, is that the acceptance that we die then is in essence the thing that allows us to really live. Because if we're constantly worried about death, then we might be avoiding things that would possibly cause us harm.
Totally.
Yeah. There's a really interesting, so I like the concepts around Stoicism, some of the Stoic thoughts on death. And Stoics believe that death isn't just natural, but it's necessary for the continuance of life. And I mean, they do kind of, I think you would dig this, they view it as this cosmic cycle of life. And so we learn when we can normalize it, that yes, it is going to happen, that it's part of life, then it doesn't have so much of a heaviness associated with it. And then preparing for it then with acceptance is that then I want to make sure and live, because, a lot of things, I think we spend so much time and I call them emotional calories, worrying about things, worrying about what if I'm going to die, what is that going to be like, versus just doing and living. But I think,
well, no, you keep going first.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that one of the things that I just want to say every time I get a chance to speak about it is change takes a long time, and that is not something that's exciting. It doesn't sell books or courses or change. I think really does start to take, it can take 2 or 3 years to change the internal landscape of your mind or what it feels like to be you or me. And so that's a continual process of coming back to the present, finding out what you like to do, letting go of the need to please other people, you know, learning what to do when you're feeling anxious. I mean, so it's a lot of, it feels like work, but at some point it just becomes what you do. And then you really start to enjoy the moment.
And how I see it is none of us like truly know, literally none of us know what's like gonna happen at the end of this. So it's like we can either live our entire lives like assuming that it's gonna be some terrible, finite, dark ending, you know, like we can assume that and live like a scared, fearful life like that. And that might be the reality. And maybe we were right the whole time, whatever. But then honestly, even if that is what happens, like you wasted a whole life where you could have been delusionally happy. Because there's nothing that we can do in this life, right, that's going to control what's going to happen in that next life. Nothing that we know of, at least, besides like, I don't know, being a good person. And that's where like religion and all that stuff comes in, because it's all really based on fear, right? It's like the fear of the unknown. But I don't know. I just don't think we have to be like so afraid. I feel like kind of like the point of life is to not understand. And if we understood in any way, we wouldn't be here. Like the point of this is to be uncomfortable and to not get it and to be like, literally, what is going on, you know?
It's like, so good, Syd.
If we all knew like what was happening after this, I just don't think it would be this.
I think you're spot on. And I think this is where to really live, we have to embrace this concept of that we will grow through discomfort. And kind of back to the theme of tonight is if we're avoiding uncomfortable feelings and avoiding things that might be uncomfortable or avoiding things that might make us look bad or feel silly, then we're going to avoid a lot of things of life. And then eventually what it feels like to be us is worried and anxious and scared. And then our world becomes pretty small. And then at some point, then what that looks like is now I also have to try to make sense of why I'm showing up this way. So I have to then convince myself that other people that are doing and living and being, they're not happy, you know, like they're reckless, they're whatever. And that's the stuff that breaks my heart, because those are the people that aren't even coming into therapy because they're saying therapy doesn't work, you know, because if it did work, and okay, this is kind of a wild thought that I see often. So somebody that will say something like, well, therapy doesn't work, or that's a sign of somebody that's weak. So, because what if it did work? And what if it was the sign of somebody that was strong? Then that means then you are missing out on a world of things you don't know that you don't know.
And then, what does that mean? What if that means that you have to then change and turn in on yourself and do things differently? It's like people are really scared of that and they don't want to admit it. And they put like these like aggressive, I don't know, like notes over things to like try to act like they're just like this alpha, you know, who doesn't need it, and you're weak if you want to change. It's like change is not weakness. Change is like is learning, and it's good, and it's progress.
It is. And I think one of the most powerful things that I see are people that honestly, the older one is when they start to really do a deep dive on themselves and change. Because at some point I do worry that I sometimes joke, somebody can't have a existential crisis, a faith crisis, or anything after a certain point in their life, because
I'll find a way.
well, it's almost like it's too hard to accept that, the way I lived my life could have maybe been different, versus acceptance is, that's how I lived my life, and here I am, and so now is my opportunity for growth. Ghost story time.
Don't be afraid of death. Ghost story, you guys. I literally saw
you do.
Ghost. I'm not even 333. I'm not even kidding you guys. I saw a ghost. And also I could just be insane. I could maybe just be crazy.
Tell me more.
But I literally just saw a ghost. I was outside sitting in my car, and it was like super late at night, and
like it was super early in the morning, right? 2 or 3 in the morning, or no?
I don't. It was like 2 in the morning.
Okay,
maybe it was 3. I don't know. But I was just sitting in my car, and like the motion sensor light on our driveway kept going off, and no one was there. And I was like, what? And then it just like, I just kept ignoring it. It goes off again. I turn around, and there's literally a man like fast walking out down our driveway. Did I not tell you this?
No.
I've never like actually seen a ghost before, so you might have to actually
wait. Can we go find it on the? Can we find it on the Ring cam?
No, we looked. No, okay. You know what's even weirder?
What?
So okay, I see the man like walking like past the car, and we make eye contact, horrifying. And we check the Ring camera. The Ring camera was recording the most random-ish all night long, like the most random stuff.
Really?
And it didn't record that one moment.
Oh, now I'm intrigued.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's so scary. Because I texted Mackie right after to check the ring. Because
Really?
that was my first thought too. I was like, was that an actual person? Because I've never actually seen, and it didn't have like fuzzy floaty things around it like everyone says. Like, it looked like a real person.
That's funny because I was out fast walking down the driveway
So,
and I didn't even see him.
It had hair.
I know,
so
and I was wearing my
you.
hair hat and I didn't even see him.
No, it had hair.
Oh, okay, that's crazy.
And like, he had like a brown jacket on, like work pants, a mustache, hair. Like, I saw everything. So
down our driveway.
Yeah, he was leaving at least.
Okay, is that the guy I hired to fix the pool at 2
No.
No. Okay, interesting.
Oh my gosh, I feel like other stuff happened too. You guys, this house is literally haunted. Like,
okay,
I'm not kidding. There's so many weird things. I keep seeing like doubles. Like, I saw yesterday. I swear on my life, I see Mackie, my sister, walk out of the bathroom. Second later, she walks out of the bathroom again.
Like, she went twice.
Shut up! It was scary.
Oh, I'm kidding.
It's
no,
so
this is what I do with my
weird.
discomfort. Right?
But yeah.
Because I thought what you were saying, that I thought because you told me about one time not seeing the guy walking, but a ghost story or whatever. And then I went out to go on a run at like 3:45 the next day. And there was this little bunny just sitting in the front yard and just giving me the stink eye. And then when I go running by, he side eyes me.
Wait, the bunny?
Yeah.
Dude, okay, yeah. I saw a bunny too. Like, oh wait, are you talking about the story that I just blanked out? I was reading the comments while you were saying that.
No, I'm starting to too. Yeah.
There was another situation where I thought it was a ghost, but it was actually just the motion sensor light. And there was a bunny there. And I thought that that's the one that I told you about. And I thought that the bunny was like my guardian angel keeping me safe, but it wasn't.
Because when I ran by him, he was like, hey, what's up?
No.
It's just weird. What's our credentials? I
have absolutely no credentials. And anything that comes out of my mouth, you should probably do the opposite of. And if you take anything for fact, that's on you.
And I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and certified mindful habit coach. Okay. Should men go to therapy, or is that only a girl thing? Thank you for asking that question. I have a true story of where when I felt this call to change my career after 10 years in software, then I go back to school, become a therapist. And I really did. I was like, I just felt this call to help men become better husbands and fathers. And people in my grad school class would chuckle a little bit. And it was because I find out later men were going to therapy. This was 17, 18 years ago. And so then I find myself working in the world of addiction, because guys will come in if they are trying to overcome, like turning to an unhealthy coping mechanism or an addiction. And then I just think I'm only mentioning that because then I found that the way to really help people with addiction is not to say, knock it off, but it was to help them become better husbands, fathers, help them with their faith, their career, and their health. And so then I go find these ways to help people in those areas. And then I started seeing more men come in for couples counseling. And then, but I think that men, it is absolutely something that is good to do. And it sets a good example for if you have sons that will see that, okay, it's okay to then go in and deal with my feelings and emotions and embrace the things I don't know that I don't know. So, I mean, I love when guys come to therapy. Yeah.
That is such a good way to look at addiction too. I don't know why I've never thought of it like this. You've probably said it to me like 7 times and I just wasn't listening.
The 8th time is the charm.
But I like that idea of like, because when like with vaping and stuff, I still haven't vaped.
I know, that's great. That's so good, right? I mean, it's been since January 1, right?
Yeah, 7th, January
7th, and it's somewhere between April and June right now.
But with like trying to quit vaping, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, the unhealthy coping mechanism.
Oh yeah, it was like at first I would just immediately for like years I would just try to quit vaping. Like that was it. Like I wouldn't change anything else in my life.
Yeah.
It would just be, I'm going to try to stop hitting the vape, you know?
Yeah.
And like that. And when you say it like that, it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of impossible, because the reason why I'm so addicted to this vape is because like I wasn't, like getting dopamine from regular activities. I didn't know like what, like things I actually like doing for myself that didn't involve, So like it makes sense that like if you like raise the other areas in your life, it can help you.
That's what I think. Yeah. And what happens is, so the way I've got a men's group, if anybody's struggling, I focus on things like people that are unhealthy, like sexual compulsion. Will that get us shadow ban?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Just keep going.
Impulse control disorder. and turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms. And you find that there's an acceptance, quite frankly, that if somebody wants to do that, they're going to. Like, we're adults, we can, but so then if somebody really wants to overcome turning to those unhealthy coping mechanisms, then it really is to embrace it. It's almost like healthy distraction in a sense, like becoming more connected with your relationships and as a parent and with your faith and with your health and your career. And so then it's like, and then if you still do hit that dome, I remember how to say that. Nice. Then it's like, if I do, then I have to give myself grace, forgiveness, break down the game film, like what led to that, what were the triggers, and then get back on the proverbial horse of doing things that matter. Mm-hmm. And then that like temptation will lessen over time.
But it will never go away.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I don't this is the first time I actually have something good to say about my vaping update. The first time, like, I actually I don't think about it every day.
Okay, and that's good.
It's way easier for me not to zin.
Uh-huh.
I still do it every day, but it's like so easy for me to push it away. So I really feel like it's like getting somewhere. So if you're trying to quit, you can do it, because I was sleeping with that thing next to my little head every night. And now I'm not, so it can happen.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I'm proud of you. I really am.
Thanks.
Hug?
No.
But look at, I like DJ's, must be like, she quit the DMV too. She never made it to the DMV in California. Wait, yes, she did.
DMVs are literally in everyone's imagination.
And now we have to do it in Arizona. You ready? Round 2.
No, I don't know what it is. Someone keeps asking about Stockholm syndrome.
Oh,
Kayla,
yeah.
Do you know what Stockholm syndrome?
Oh, I mean, Stockholm syndrome is, it's the thing where you start to, it's basically a trauma bond where you start to develop.
Love your abuser.
Yeah, you start to develop an attachment.
So like a narcissistic relationship, basically.
I know, and I can't believe we didn't talk about narcissism tonight. Like, we'll get to that. We'll do another live. We're back, right? We're back. We're gonna do this. But I mean, so the part that is, and actually Skinner American Goods advice for lessening phone addiction. I can cram Stockholm syndrome and phone addiction in the same advice, because it all has to do with that intermittent reinforcement. So it's the same thing that gives you the pleasure also delivers you the pain, in essence. And so we become addicted to getting the rush of dopamine, the pleasure. And that's one of the most unfortunate things about a trauma bond. And actually, I was just talking about this to somebody. I might have even texted them. I was going to look it up, but go back to, what do we do to get rid of our discomfort? So when the narcissist or the emotionally or physically abusive person, when they feel uncomfortable, then what they do to avoid their discomfort is then oftentimes retreat or withdraw from the relationship, which causes the person that is the more pathologically kind to then feel uncomfortable because of that withdrawal. So what do they do to get rid of their discomfort? They turn toward that person and say, I will do anything to whatever you need, because I need that fix. So they need that person to then.
It's literally like an endless toxic cycle.
Yeah, it is a toxic cycle. It really is. So somebody said, I was physically abused so bad and I feel awful for leaving. And Kayla, that breaks my heart. Please do anyone that you can go talk to get help. And I want you to know, if it doesn't, here's what I want to say, like, anybody's going to tell you, you got to get out. And I want you to, and I don't even know you, because you deserve so much better than that. Any physical abuse is not okay. Like, period. It really isn't. And so that's the part where, because that's a immature way that person is trying to get control or get rid of their discomfort. And so what really, that trauma bond is so strong, because then after they do that, then they turn around and say, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. And it is that cycle of abuse. And so what I think that isn't talked about enough is, again, where I was going with that is, everybody wants to say, yeah, get out of there, because I want you to get out of there. But the reality is, it takes time. And I work sometimes with the population of people that are in emotionally immature narcissistic relationships. And they, Kayla, 5 years. Oh, it breaks my heart. Yeah, it takes, just start finding somebody you can talk to, that you can feel heard and seen and understood. But I know that it's going to feel really scary to think that you need to do it right now. But just know that if you're listening to us right now, that you are doing work. And and
just know that don't feel awful. I don't know. It's not that you are weak or you are a bad person or anything like that. It's just that this stuff really works. This manipulative behavior, this sick, twisted behavior, and it's not you and it's not your fault. And no matter how you feel right now, just know that like you deserve so much better than that, and like this spot in your life is just temporary, and that doesn't feel good right now and doesn't make sense right now, obviously.
Yeah, right.
But like someday you'll be able to look back at this and be like, oh my God, I've grown so much.
You really will. And I'm glad you said that. And it's interesting too. I appreciate Battle Space Cowboy. Thank you for that. Meanwhile, an active duty military can use trauma bonding to fuel our existence. And I think I understand where you're going there, because I've worked with people that have been in special forces, and that, you know, it really is that they have to be able to count on each other and rely on each other so much that it is almost that trauma bond training. Because if you look at trauma bonding, I was thinking about this earlier today. It's how you train an animal at times, you know? It's that intermittent reinforcement.
I don't know. We didn't train any of our
That's
animals.
what I was saying. Somebody was like, well, I was talking about having dogs, and they were saying, oh, are they really good? And I'm like, oh, no. No, not at all. Because I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want them to feel bad. But let me just say, Kayla, also what Sydney was saying is so true, of that it is such a process to go through, and there's no correct amount of time to get out of an unhealthy relationship. And so I say that there's things to do. One is to raise your emotional baseline, and that's self-care. And self-care doesn't mean you have to go sign up for a marathon or get a mani-pedi. It's listening to people that are talking about that it's not okay to be in that kind of a relationship. And I mean, self-care is starting to dream. It's starting to read, to think, to believe, because that is going to give you a tiny bit of an emotional baseline raise, because you're going to have to get yourself in a really good position to be able to do what you might need to do to get out of that relationship, because there's some steps ahead. And then I like to say, get your PhD in gaslighting, because, you know, you're going to be told that you're wrong. You know, you'll never be okay on your own. I'll tell everybody about what you're doing. I mean, and that stuff is so manipulative. And to know that, and then get out of unproductive conversations, learn to set boundaries, but there's nothing you'll do that will give that person the aha moment or the epiphany, that needs to come from you. So the more that you're trying to talk to this person about, they need to stop, or they need to appreciate you, or you're really handing them the buttons to press of, you know, well, you know, nobody appreciates you. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. So learning how to not engage, call it gray rocking, where you just become uninteresting.
And I feel like part of the trauma bond, right? It's like you're being told that you have to leave this person that you literally love.
Yeah.
Like,
but then unfortunately you think that is love.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's control.
Keep going, because I forgot what I was saying.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, it wasn't you. I forgot. I'm glad you jumped in, because I forgot literally after the first word out of my mouth.
Well, and I know we say this often. You can have love or control in an adult relationship, not both. If there is someone that is trying to control you, that isn't love, and you deserve to be in a relationship where you really feel seen and safe, emotionally safe. Somebody asked about how do I deal with betrayal trauma, and I think that's one of those that's really tough as well, because with betrayal trauma, I think sometimes people say, okay, I know I need to trust him or her again. And it's like, oh no, you need to accept the fact that I don't trust right now. So then I'm not continually thinking what's wrong with me, or trying to look for things that will show me that he is or she is showing up better or different. But betrayal trauma, I think, or often even what Kayla's going through, it's a cue to ourselves to then recognize, okay, I need to do what's best for me. I need to start looking at self-care. I need to go to therapy. And then if the other person says, oh, I don't really like the idea of that, I don't want you airing our laundry out to other people, well, that is a them issue. And so, you know, and so then even if you have to go on your own, then that is a step to start really learning how to be okay with yourself and the things that you I don't know, now I'm what's going on.
Well, and going back to Kayla's thing, like I feel like with like that situation, you're, like I said, like you're being told you want to leave somebody that you love so much, and like that's what can be so hard. So I feel like a good way to look at it is the best thing that you can do for that other person, that manipulative, abusive person, the best thing you can do even for them is to leave them.
That's true, Syd.
Because they are never going to change if you keep validating their behavior. It's, of course, it's the best thing you can do for yourself, but it's also the best thing that you can do for them.
Yeah.
Because like the fire's not going to go out if you keep adding fuel, you know?
That's
like
so
you
good.
have to put it out, or nothing is going to get better for anyone ever.
Okay, the reason I like that so much is I think that often when I'm in sessions with somebody that's in
you've already thought that before. You thought that first.
Okay. I thought it so long ago. No, but I think sometimes when somebody is like hearing it from a therapist though, they just think, well, you don't get it. And it's almost like, and I don't, you know, necessarily understand it. but I find that that's one of those times where maybe I'm then starting to feel so anxious about this person. They deserve so much better. They should. But so sometimes I will try to take it from that angle of that. Hey, this person deserves to be with somebody that is gonna either just, I don't know. They've been in such a. I don't even want to say that part. I was gonna say they need somebody that is like, okay, I'm being manipulated, but I don't even mean that really.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, but
well, that person, like,
yeah, right. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, like just doesn't work like that. Like those brain chemistries don't connect because the manipulative person goes after, like you say, the pathologically kind person, like the person that's going to be there to do anything for them because of their, childhood probably.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and that's where I was going to say what the sad thing about control, but then I hesitate to even say this sometimes because I think the pathologically kind person will even then have more empathy for the narcissist or the person that's inducing the trauma bond, is that it's like that person feels like if I don't control this person, then they will not stay with me. So, and we all have this fear of abandonment. So rather than showing up as our best self, to then have a real connection, a real intimate connection with somebody where I'm not afraid to see them for who they are, and I'm not afraid to be seen. Instead, it's the opposite of like, no, if I do that, they will leave. So I need to control them. I need to keep them on their toes. I need to have this intermittent reinforcement. So that is sad because that's obviously, and I will say obviously, that they had a childhood full of, conditional love, being ignored, seeing a relationship from their parents that was modeled with control. Okay, real quick, because we're going to stop in 5 minutes. Random question. Can you ask the girl how she puts the charms in her hair and keeps them from falling? Ezra.
Okay. Why am I blanking on talking?
I don't know.
It's really easy actually. You just I do the braid first, and then I take my little pliers, and then the charm, just all the charms have a little key ring at the end of them, the little circle metal thing. And so I just open up the key ring and I just put it through the braid and close it, because if you think about it, a braid in your hair is kind of just like a chain. It's like a chain on a necklace when you think about it, So you just put it through like it's a chain.
Okay, do you see? Boom. So many people are asking this. Syd should do a tutorial on the next live. Will you do a tutorial sometime?
I mean, I guess.
If you could do that, and I'll tell psychology facts.
Can we give you extensions?
I would do it. Do I have to grow my hair out?
Yeah, can you do it by next live?
No.
All right, we'll give you a month.
Okay, give me a minute. Syd's spitting so many facts tonight. Let's kind of end with this one, shall we? Tio, when is it valid to resent or be indifferent to family? And I don't want to. I was going to say I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sound so clever, but it's when you notice that you are resenting or being indifferent to family, because this goes back to that. Most likely, I would imagine you've been in a situation with your family where you haven't felt seen, you haven't felt heard, you felt controlled, you felt manipulated. So go back to that. At some point, the body does keep the score, and then your indifference, your apathy, your that resentment is your own body saying, "Look, I don't know how else to get your attention, but you deserve to be seen and heard and understood." So, I think the hard part is though our immediate reaction to that is we want to let them know, like, I'm tired of this. You guys need to pay attention, or whatever it is, or I'm going to just try to avoid, and it's like really having that courage to just know that I'm going to be okay. I don't need to let them know they're being, I don't know, mean or bad.
Yeah. I think it can actually be really dangerous when we say that family should be treated differently in situations like this, because then it allows for a lot of situations where abuse is going to happen just because it's your mom doing it, or it's just because it's your sister and you're supposed to love them. How I see it is your family, first of all, is chosen.
Yeah.
And regardless of that, everyone who you interact with should treat you good or well. And it's if you feel resentful because someone's making you feel that way, it's always valid.
Okay, and
always,
I think 100%
so too. Of the time.
It really is. And random dumb thoughts. I appreciate you both doing this. Curly Flu, beautiful, great job helping people. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We got one up here that I think is so. I won't even. Maybe should I point that one out? Because when somebody just comes in and says therapy's dumb, this is.
You have to read it first.
Okay.
Dumb.
Hippie junk science, says the person who is afraid that if this stuff is real, then I might have to be nice. I might have to have empathy. I could actually do better. I could grow. So I better say this is dumb Yeah. You know? So that's the stuff that, I mean, it's sad. It breaks my heart because it's like, oh, okay, so we don't know what we don't know. No curiosity there. I've labeled this dumb. I'm better now. I will move on to the next live and say it's dumb too. And it's like, man, this TikTok, these lives, and there's so much good information out there to try to learn and grow from. And it's a customized treatment plan of life. I mean, you know, pick up a little of the things that we're talking about, because I'm not trying to defend like, oh my gosh,
he's
you're
already
right.
in another live.
I'm sure, right? Yeah, yeah. But so I just think that it's so interesting though that, and again, I will probably start bringing this up more and more when we're doing these, but if somebody just has to come in and say you're wrong, this isn't the first time that they've done that. So they have to do that to feel good about themselves, because it's so scary to say, I might not know what I'm, you know, the person that's stopping by. If this makes me feel uncomfortable, that's an opportunity for growth. But how do they get rid of that discomfort? Just say it's dumb, because then I don't have to think about it again. And I just, that is so, so those that are here and they are listening, and maybe you're cracking a couple jokes, sure, but it doesn't mean that we think this is the only way. But we're offering information that has worked for us, and then please take this information and take it in. And what does that feel like for you? And does it help you become a better person? Then integrate some of that. If you disagree, then
there also isn't a way, you know, there isn't a right way or a wrong way for anything.
That's like silly to even think that,
and
right?
That's why, like, I feel like people just get in arguments so much, because it's like we're all just trying to agree with each other when like there isn't something to agree on, because everyone's different, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we went live for 9 minutes, 90 minutes. Okay. So DJ, I just want to say thank you for this. Your clinical knowledge offset by your daughter is powerful. I really appreciate that. I will tell you that I have missed our lives, because it's been like, what, 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, me too. I kept like having random moments where I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that.
I know.
Didn't talk about any of those moments. I don't remember what any of them were. But.
Okay, so we will be back. I'm going to my California office for a few days, and then I'm back, and we were doing them at least a couple times a week. Are you up for that?
Thanks for actually watching us, guys. I was like low-key scared there were gonna be like 7 people on.
I know, same, and it's been more.
Everyone's leaving now that I said that. Okay. I get it. Valid.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you everybody, for real. Respectfully, your daughter is gorgeous. She really is.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't talking about you.
Oh, I was like, that's so nice.
Okay. You're beautiful, Tony.
Okay, now that's just silly.
Your head isn't as shiny in here. What are we gonna do about that?
Wait, we don't want it shiny.
No, but it gives like like Jesus Christ, I feel like.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay. True Seek Love by Syd and Tony. See you. Who did she look like in the family? That's a great question. Who do you look like in the family?
I feel like all of us, all the girls look like. Yeah,
but who do you guys look like? Mom or dad? That's what they're saying, I
think. Probably mom.
Okay. All right, Betsy, I'm an original follower. Love you guys. We love you, Betsy. And we know, I see you.
Yeah, Betsy.
We appreciate that. I was like, when I thought about like, will she be back? Because we've been gone for a little while. So, oh, look at that. Anonymous Orox gave us like some super dope award. And then somebody did say that it's mom's side of the family. Yeah, I kind of think so. That makes sense. All right.
Do we have any similar?
Wait, hang on.
I don't know. Like, I kind of don't really feel like we look alike. Like, at all. Mom, Dad has something shady to tell you. Did you cheat?
Wait, I have something shady to tell her. She has something shady to tell me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, awkward. Didn't mean to break that information
what
here.
Is that? One of my favorite, my funny jokes that I always like to make is like
acting like you gave birth for some
That's
reason.
what I'm saying. Or it's like, wait a minute. Yeah, I forget. Anyway, okay.
They never gave me the birds and the bees.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great time. Where do I go? Here we are. Oh, there.
Classic.
Okay.
Don't forget YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, hold on.
Our raging 0 viewers.
I know. I don't know if there was any over here. It's so fun though.
Dude,
oh, hey, what's going on, guys?
2. You guys actually won $1 million.
Okay, 2 on YouTube and 17,000 on TikTok. That was one of the biggest ones ever. Okay,
that's really good.
Thank you.
No, these are the only 2 people that matter.
Both of you. 17,500. Don't even care about them. You guys. Much love.
You guys get it.
That's crazy.